Hello everybody, Poncianinho speaking here. As promised, I have a vlog about movement today. So yesterday in class, this is vlog number 10. Yesterday in my class, as there was Wednesday, I did a training that I used for myself a lot, okay? And then obviously it works very well, and I thought, okay, always use that. So that's one of my tools for working with my students. Now I'll tell you what it is. Sometimes you have two ends. You have the two ends of a movement, okay? So you have the beginning and you have the end of the movement, the final thing that happens in the movement. So if you think of AU, where do I start and where do I finish, okay? Now, just knowing those two things, as simple as it sounds, everybody might think, oh, we know that, you have to know where to start, where to finish. Knowing them and looking at how you can improve that, how to improve the beginning of a movement, how to improve the ending of the movement. You create what I call the bookshelf. The movement becomes whatever happens in the middle of the movement, the actual movement. So I'm in a position for a AU, for example, and then I do the AU, and then I land. So by reinforcing that bookshelf, the book stands stronger in the middle, so the movement tends to get better. So this technique allows me to do something really magical about the quality of the movement. Okay, so what we did yesterday was Armada or Meia Lua de Costas, okay? And they were doing the kick, so a lot of people had usually the beginning, it's sorted, so the beginning of the movement, you know where to begin. If you're giving a clear direction, let's say you're not experienced, so and then you're giving a clear direction. If you are experienced, you already know, is the leg behind, is the leg in parallel. But let's just assume for now you know how to begin. Then you do the kick. And when you finish the kick, you are a little bit off balance. So some of my students were off balance. Maybe the leg comes around and the leg throws the body this way a little bit too much, or throws the body this way, whatever it is. And you simply cannot control that. So what do you do then? Okay? Well, one technique that you do is the technique I'm going to tell you now. You know how you should finish. You must know how you should finish, even though that you cannot finish like that, but you know how you should finish. So let's just say I'm kicking and my right leg is going to land behind in a ginga position, okay? You could be in parallel, you could be bending the knees into a rolê, but let's say I'm kicking my right leg and it's finishing behind, okay? And every time I do, I cannot finish behind, I fall. So then what I do is I call meeting the ends, connecting the ends. You will do the kick and then say you fall and then you correct yourself. That's it. It's as simple as that. You do the kick, you land wrong, you correct yourself. I believe that a lot of movements, by doing that correction, you have not landed in the right place. You are simply then correcting to the right place. What happens is those two ends start to move now, and you are more likely to end up landing in the right place. Okay? So it's very, very helpful. And as I said, 9 out of 10. Yesterday, it helped a lot. Now, if the person is moving really wrong somewhere because, I don't know, you throw the body too much this way when you do a armada, then of course, in some cases, you want to work on a lot of things. But we get a lot out of the way just by teaching people, right, you've landed in a wrong position, correct the position. Make that mechanic, okay? Another thing, you correct and you just take that pose in there. And even when you are landing in a perfect position, so I'm doing a kick and I'm landing exactly where I want to land, it's really good to do that, land, and take that pose there for a second to reinforce the message in the body That's what I meant about here in my last vlog, because you reinforce the message in your body of where you should be. Now, something that you may think is, but hang on, you're talking a lot about flow in another video. Well, the first thing to say about this, flow is just one part. Not everything's flow the whole time, even though your mind continues with the flow, but there are moments where you will stop, of course, né? In capoeira, when you're playing capoeira. But let me tell you something else. Even if we say, okay, we want flow, okay, we want to get the movements to be like water. Even for that, then sometimes what we do is we take something out that is not working. So let's say I do a kick and I want to go into a rolê, beautiful, into a rolê. From the kick into a rolê, okay? But that's not working now because I'm landing, my body's in the wrong place. So then I do this very mechanical, almost robot-like thing where I land, come back to my position, land, come back to my position. When I master that, then I go back into the artistic side. And yesterday I told my students that, and they really liked it, because I said to them, no, I want you to really do this more robotic now. But it's not going to finish there, because once I then have you controlling, I'll say, okay, you see this posture now, this should be more like that. But now they have the balance. They have the balance. They know where to be. They know the foot is behind. That's the foot I'm going to sit down if I do a rolê. Everything's in the right place. So sometimes you need to come out of the flow or come out of the idea, a lot of times actually, and then master some points of that sequence that you then can bring back into the flow. You can bring back into a sequence, you can bring back into a movement. When I say sequence, I'm mainly talking about threads. You can make then a thread again. I use a lot of static movements. There was a phase, I'm doing a little less now, but there was a phase that I was doing static movements so much. Why? Because I realized sometimes I was moving, I'd say I was in an improvisational mode. I was moving and yes, I looked in the mirror, I looked behind, people were following me, but there were so many things I said, this is not right. So do you know what I was doing? I was doing a movement and then freezing a posture. I did explain to my students, I'm going to say, we are going to freeze lots of postures. It's not easy to train because it's not nice. We want to move. But stay with me because we're going to freeze that, but that's going to go back into movement. Next time you pass through that place where you now learn where to be because you froze the position, you can go through that smoothly. To say nothing about the fact that by holding a posture, you then realize what place is weak, what muscles is weak. If you don't believe me, just try to hold a Benson. You hold a sharp and you know where the leg is weak. But there is really good value in holding things, as long as you know that most of them you are holding for the purpose that you're not going to hold later. You're going to go through them. But you've taken all those photography in each place of the movement that you can just then smooth. And think about, even if I use the analogy of photography, isn't it interesting that pictures, it's just lots of photos together, like when you flick a book and you see the movement. You think about that. Each of those characters in a cartoon, they were drawn. Each of them. And when they were all put together and you flick the book, what happens? You see the movement. So think a little bit like that. Sometimes you want to draw each of your characters, and then obviously after you're going to put those pictures together, you're going to flick the book. You know what I'm talking about when you do like that and you see the figurine moving, and then you go back into that. But hang on a minute, you need to build so many pages of that book and for you to get to the cartoon. You won't get all of that in once. So okay, so that was the vlog. That was a vlog more about movement and about something that you can train. I hope you can get the idea from me just talking, Okay, I'm trying to be quite physical, but perhaps would be nice that I do one video and show you that. And then you have both things. You have me talking about, and then you have a video where I show, right, this is what you do. You kick, you land in the wrong place, you correct yourself, land correct, and then you're going to land in the correct place. Okay? Ok, guys, have a good day. Um abraço. Tchau, tchau.